Hello and welcome to Kamilla Singh Show. Yes, we haven't been on the air for a bit, but we got the whole team back today and we have a lot to talk about. But before we go there, we want to acknowledge the First Nations land, the Coast Salish land that we are sharing, growing, living, enjoying. So we are grateful for the Coast Salish people, the first people of this land, to allow us as immigrants be able to live and share. So having said that, our panel is back and then we have a lot to talk about. On my right is Eileen Mohan, activist and educator, and she has been doing this work for a while and very political. and with her is our Hannah. And as you all know, congratulations, first of all, that you have been named the top 10 teachers in the world. Right? In the world. So I don't know how many of the teachers. So we like to thank you because
for your contribution,
Absolutely. And the work that you have done and the acknowledgement that finally they found out any Ohana is.
I have been blessed from the start. I certainly didn't need the acknowledgement, but I think, as a profession, I think teachers are very important to our world.
Yeah.
And so I represent everybody in terms of going to Paris on November 8th and representing everybody there.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. So where should we start first? We have a lot to talk about. Absolutely. And we have been talking since we came here, but we're not going to go there right away.
Sure.
We should start with Surrey.
Yeah.
SPS versus RCMP. Mm-hmm. It's before the courts now.
Yes.
So, and being so silent right now. Mm-hmm. So I just don't know, what are you thinking and where is this going to go? Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Well, I think that Brenda Locke could have not found a better lawyer than Peter German. He tickles my heart.
Okay.
Honestly, because when my son died, Peter German was in service at that time.
Oh, okay.
And I'm telling you, he is a man of integrity, of honor, and of policy. He sees the right thing. He knows how to sit you down and make you understand. And he's got credibility in the courts. He's got credibility in the society. And he's all about justification. And the way that Brenda Locke, as a mayor, and her authority has been challenged by the provincial government is unheard of, unspoken of in the history of Canada. Because the mayor runs her own jurisdiction.
Yes.
She has the right to appoint her police force. And she has been given this task after another mayor walked out, dismantled what it was, and she ran a campaign of retaining the RCMP. I've never heard a provincial government who stands on the podium with a mic and scolds a mayor and tries to snatch the mayor's right off them. He is amending the Police Act, he's amending this to get his way.
Yeah.
And it is almost like now Mike Farnsworth could not have his way. He is going to make it to have his way in Surrey. And his say is going to go. And I'm telling you, with Peter German, that's why everything is silent. Because he is a man of honor and he is respected. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to let it rest. And I'm very, very, very hopeful for Brenda. Very hopeful for RCMP that this will, once and for all, give her rights back to her as a mayor.
I have a feeling, because I had said this was going to go to the courts before, and I wonder, I think it's very clear that the provincial government has one idea of what they want to do, right? And that leads to them amending the Police Act, which was coming, but I think that found its way in there as well. I am curious to see, and I don't know enough to be able to know if this is true. I stand to be corrected. I do wonder if there's a charter challenge in this, right? A constitutional challenge in terms of where the responsibilities lie. I mean, I think it's worth it, to be honest with you, to have a discussion about when it comes to policing, you know, which entity, you know, I'm sure a municipality could say we want to do something, but to what extent is that possible, right? So I think we're going to need some clarification just generally, because certainly no politician deserves to have their rights tread on, right? Jurisdictions should not be trampled on, right? Thank you. And that to me is something that I would like to see, because this back and forth, again, costing more money, taxpayer money, it doesn't resolve really the issue. And again, for me, because I think the issues are far bigger than just, you know, policing, I feel like we're just wasting time and energy where we could put it elsewhere. So we'll see what happens in the court. I have a feeling it's still going to go higher. And if I'm wrong on that, then you know, again, I'll look it up. It's a good learning opportunity for me. But in terms of the Constitution here, where does all this lie? I don't want to see this ever again. So let's resolve that and move on. And I don't know enough about the lawyers, so thank you for that as well. I think it's good to have people who know what they're talking about, who know what they're doing, so that we don't fall prey to politics as we have in the past.
Because on the other side, I mean, we have Peter German, but you have to remember our premier, he's a full-blown lawyer too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, I'm looking at this like,
Yeah.
right? There's two tomatoes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they have to come to the same conclusion. One's word cannot be above the other, because they're both lawyers. They have to know what
Follow
they're talking
the law,
about. Yeah.
The funny part is, or it's not even funny, that I think they have filed not the debate, but they filed the application in the court on Thursday and Friday. On Monday morning, this Mike Farnworth has come on the podium and they say, okay, we're going to change the whole system in the province of British Columbia, how everybody should be looking. And it's not just for Surrey, but anybody else that would want municipal policing in future. So it's a long way to go, but still the taxpayers in Surrey are still paying $8 million a month. Yeah, that's how much it's costing.
I mean,
that's a lot of money, and I think I had also heard that the provincial government is only going to put out 150 million, and that's it. And that is not going to cut it, because the taxpayers will still have to pay the rest of the money.
I think this was a massive hiccup and headache on the way to regional policing, is what I really think it was, right?
Yeah.
And so now they're grappling with all these different realities, and certainly the optics are not great when all of a sudden you show up and you go, oh, wait, well, we're changing the whole thing anyways.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? When already, like, Surrey's in the throes of trying to figure this out. Again, to me, it's this political mess.
It's political, but it's suppressing the voice of the people also.
Yeah, of course.
The people who voted Brenda Locke in is because she was going to retain the RCMP. Was one of her platforms that she ran on. And so, I mean, you first are stopping the voice of the mayor, and then you are then restricting the rights of the people of Surrey who voted her in, and she was voted in. And then when you stand there and you say, "Oh, we're a democratic country," this is no way an example of a democratic leader in the provincial government.
What do you think of the polls? Having said all this, Liberals shall start with NDP. NDP locally in provincial still trailing at about 40%. I mean, even David Ivey has not been elected premier, but he will be next 2 years when the election is called. But he is quite high in the polls. And second to that is Conservatives, when they only have 2 members, which is about 25 or 26%. And Liberals are about 19 or 20%, which is supposed to be opposition. And when you really think of that, if these people are so mad at the NDP, Where do you think the election is gonna go, or is it we still have a lot of years or time before the election is
Okay,
called?
the people of British Columbia has not forgotten the provincial Liberal government. When they were in power for 12 years, when they were in power, under their watch, our housing price went up, our grocery price went up, everything, and they would, and first of all, when Christy Clark was elected premier, she was all about families. It was family this, family that, and family first, family policy. And then it was all about LNG.
Yeah.
Right? And okay, fine, but they could not stop the rising of house prices, the laundry, the money laundry that occurred in casinos. Everybody is pointing a finger to everybody. That's not resolved. Every aspect of our life got more expensive and more expensive and more expensive. They have nothing to run upon again.
Yeah, I do think now we have 2 years to go, but their platform is empty.
Yeah.
And even their criticisms, a lot of them fall flat.
Yes.
So, and again, I'm biased. I'm an educator. I've had to deal with strikes and all that, but generally speaking, when they put forward some of their platform ideas more recently, they did not enthrall me. Like anybody can say build more schools. If you don't say that, you really have a problem, right? Like their promises were so minimal, right? Cell phones in school. Oh yeah, sure, everybody cares about this, but that's not how you transform a system that is critically underfunded, right? That's just one area. I think the BC United have a lot to be afraid of from the Conservatives, because what I'm seeing is that people, for whatever reason, whatever they feel the Conservatives represent, the BC United perhaps have shifted, and so they're going to go to the Conservatives. So I don't think that's going to hurt the NDP as much as it will the United base, and they haven't been very strong. The last election, they did lose. South Surrey is starting to shift a bit because of demographics. And yeah, I think you have to show it through policy. A name change is not a policy. And yeah, so I don't know, but can the NDP do better? Absolutely. In every single sense of the word. Absolutely. I think we always have to be critical of our governments, right? But I certainly don't feel that there is a plan or a long-term vision that suits most BCers to the point where our lives get easier under what is currently being offered by the United or the Conservatives.
I think that they made a very crucial mistake by changing their names. If they because that name is linked with Justin Trudeau, there's so much love for Justin Trudeau
that's interesting.
around the world. And in Canada. We have his haters. People don't like him and all that. But I have to tell you, when you speak to people, the way Canada is today, they like the direction of Canada. Compared to other world. He is a mild and a humbled leader. And I know that's according to me and what I have been hearing from other people and people in my midst. And for me too, I don't like a leader who stands there and dictates. He tries to look for solutions, but he is loved. And so I think if the United changed their name to, BC Liberals changed their name to United, I'm going, oh my goodness, that's one of the damnest mistakes that they did.
I see it from the other. It's like 10 seconds, but I think that for those conservatives, because this is a very conservative party, right? It's not just like your progressives or whatever. That United is a problem, that they don't want to be united. They want to see clear, separation. So I think that also hurts them because, I see there are some MLAs under the BC United Liberal umbrella that I certainly have respect for, and I think their lived experience is very important, that the Conservatives would never allow in their party. So it's interesting to me how I maybe both play a factor in terms of the name. Again, really? That was your first thought?
Yeah.
Let's change our name?
And then everything will fall in place.
And we will get to
And I don't think people are going to forget that under COVID, there was so much collaboration.
Yes.
And I think most of us want that.
Yes.
And when they went on that debate stage, John Horgan, and Sonia, and they started to they started to hate on each other for collaborating.
Yeah.
And I hated that moment. I was like, no. Like, I like that you work together. I don't need you to tell me, well, you see, because you voted for us. No, that's okay. Because as a province, we were trying to save ourselves. We were trying to deal with a global threat, right?
Yeah.
It's so weird that now we've gone back into these corners when really what I would love is just everybody more
Supporting each other.
more supporting each other.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm naive.
I think it was very political too because COVID nobody expected that.
Yeah.
Of course.
It once happens once in century whatever.
Yeah.
So when that hit us, then I think they don't want to be seen as they were not supporting this government or whatever we were trying to do to bring the vaccination or mask and work from home and all that. So they didn't want to be labeled as such. So that was a very good move that they came together to be able to fight this thing as a forefront or together. So another thing I was going to also say, there is a lot of talk is happening with Airbnb. People that owe Airbnb, and they are taking that Airbnb away so that there will be more places for people to rent because we cannot build the homes as fast as people are moving into the country. So taking that away, I think, is also backfiring this government because a lot of people, like film industries, a lot of other people, they bring the people in here so they can have people to stay for 3 to 6 months while they are finishing the project. But now, once that will be taken away, people can afford hotels, and they don't have that many rooms in the hotels. So I don't think that this thing was thought out clearly before they said, we're going to take all your license away, and you guys can start renting that suites you have.
Well, I think the government made a huge mistake. You know why? Because they should have first had rent control.
That would have been nice.
The price of everything is soaring. Our salaries are not matching the price that is soaring.
Yeah.
And the rents that we have are now are soaring also. So if they control the rent, they would have been a lot more, and they would have been in a better place. But because somehow they talk about Airbnb and they're taking the license away from owners and all that, but they're not saying anything about rent control. And people are thinking about rent control. And so I don't know if they're going to win where Airbnb is concerned, because it is people bring that in for their retirement.
Can I say something about the rent control? I think rent control is not like those greedy people that their basement was, they were renting for $700, now is $1,700 for one bedroom. The reason being, because of the interest rate going up. When they have to renew, I have a friend, she was paying $2,600 and they don't have a suite to rent, and she lives in Ledna. And their mortgage has gone from 26 to 48, and there is no income coming. I'm saying the people that don't even have revenue coming. So when you are hitting people with 1.5% interest to 5.5%, then I think everything is going to be, their mortgages has gone up, their taxes have gone up, the hydro bill has gone up. So they have to put it out to the people. I think that is another thing that sometimes we forget.
I think our housing policy needs more nuance.
Yeah.
But also we have to realize that sometimes a lot of this commodification of housing is not happening by older individuals or a single family, right? One home. Some of this is controlled by rather large players that own multiple properties. That's one category.
Yeah.
And then yes, you have families that the suite helps pay, all kinds of things. Maybe interest rates go up. You have to push up the rent fee. We have a residential tenancy branch. I do feel that owners need to, I've heard horror stories though right here in Surrey of people that are jacking up rents unfairly, kicking people out without the proper documentation. I do believe we need a process and an order here, right? And again, this is not everybody, but it is mindful that those who are the most marginalized are suffering the worst of the housing process. We cannot leave those people behind. Too many people are being left behind. Other jurisdictions have taken away Airbnb, and I think that's what BC kind of looked to be like, okay, well, they did it, let's try it. I think it's a more foundational problem. Why is housing so expensive to begin with?
Yeah.
Why is the federal government not really pushing more? This could be a generational shift. This could be the big, think about social insurance or universal health care. I think if the federal government really stepped into the game in a more substantial way, that would be a game changer, right? At every level. So municipal, provincial, like every level obviously has a role to play, right? So I don't know. I don't, because also I think certain owners that are talking, I want to see the receipts kind of, right? If you're really struggling, absolutely. But if it's just you're not making the same profit, I don't know what to tell you, right? And if we're in such a bad place that professionals cannot afford to get a home, we're going to lose workers.
Yes.
I think I don't think I know.
And they are making
part of the
3 times more money, maybe.
Yes, and part of the shortage, I'll teach from the teacher's perspective.
Yeah.
Teachers do not want to move here because they can't afford to live here.
Yeah.
So at some point, as difficult as it might be for some of our pockets, we're going to have to realize, whatever it looks like, whatever housing, whatever rent, whatever it is, that the policy needs to attract people to our province, attract professionals to our province, and also help those that are struggling to actually have a home. The second people have housing, they pay their taxes. They invest more, right? They're able, it just provides stability. Drug rates go down. It's amazing what a roof over your head will do. These are longer term visions. It's not going to change overnight, right? It's not something that all of a sudden you see that. So I don't know. I'm a little bit up in the air about the Airbnb thing. I think we're in such a dire situation that they are just trying anything.
There has to be a control of how much people can take and give out from their pocket. There are people who are selling their homes for interest rates because they cannot afford their own homes. But then there are these block of people, and there are 50% of them whose houses are paid off and everything. Because of the circumstances, they are hiking the rents up. And that's affecting, some people are only left with $400 a month for their food and other bills because all of their money is going towards rent. And this needs to be very closely looked at.
Absolutely.
And so I mean, an Airbnb is a commodity for a retirement person. He would have paid his home off, then he would have a portion of his house as an Airbnb. Okay, this is what I'm going to live on and what government is giving me, right? So I can live.
Looking at as an income.
Exactly. Because what government gives them and their pension, probably in this world and time, won't even fulfill them. Right? So that's what I'm saying. There needs to be controls.
It reminds me of the speculation tax, which I think was a good idea, because it doesn't affect, and yes, you have to fill out the paper, right? But it doesn't affect anybody. It's their main home, their principal residence, right? Like if you're just living, your house is to live in. But for folks that are commodifying and making money, making those big profits, and just leaving places empty, right? It makes sense. Yes, it's a tax. But it's actually, it's not a tax that hurts everybody, right? It's progressive tax, it's not regressive. So, again, nuance is very key here. So I think when we look at these policies, I always wonder, who's speaking? And what are they saying? And if your renters pay your mortgage, you got to think about that. That means you don't own your home. And I'm not saying that's not to judge the people that have the house, because certainly elderly, those that really need that rental suite, that's one thing. But if you're just saying, oh no, because then that doesn't pay my mortgage, but you're still okay, then you can't afford your home, right? That's the bottom line. A lot of tenant unions have said this, we're paying your mortgage, but then we can't even afford our own home. So how is that? How is that fair, right? So there needs to be fairness in the system, and they're trying to find ways to adjust for that. But it's not enough, as Eileen said. There's a lot more mechanisms we need to actually ensure enough housing, affordable housing, and proper housing.
I think we just need a segment, a unit, people to get together and find out what's affecting us. Why is our housing prices going so high? First, we said foreign buyers. Remember that?
I know.
Yes.
We're going to restrict foreign buyers and all this. And then, but now, okay, we've done that. Why is our housing still $1.5 million that our young people will not even be able to afford, even with mama and papa's pocket open? Now, who has $1,500,000 lying around?
No.
It's so sad to see 15 to 18-year-olds, like one of their biggest concerns.
Yeah.
Miss Ohana, I'm not going to be able to afford a home.
And that's what they say. 52% of the youth, they worry every time they go to bed. And they think even if some of them have a little bit of job, we blame them. Oh, they are the one that go eat outside and drink outside, drive fancy cars and all that. Has nothing to do with that. Even if they cut all that, they'll still not be able to save the money to be able to buy a house.
And there's also stereotypes on who renters are.
Yeah.
I don't want renters in my building. I don't want renters in my neighborhood. But in BC, renters are professionals. They're nurses. They're mechanics. They're this. And, there's all kinds of people. Yeah. And even if you're a lower wage earner or you're struggling, you're getting back on your feet, there's really nothing wrong with that. No. People's behavior, that's one thing. But like generally, because I hear that too much, we don't want renters in our building. What do you mean? Because you're not even considering who these renters are. Maybe you had a bad experience in the past. That doesn't mean that everybody.
Well, these are the people who are so complacent with their homes, and it's probably paid off. The lawns are fully mowed, got flower beds, and they think, they're gonna walk around and pick them, trash their place up. But no, I mean, they forget that renters are people too. The renters pay bills. Renters make the society, the machine of the society work.
With that, I'm looking at the clock. We are running out of time, but there's so much to talk about. Thank you both for coming in.
Oh, thank you for having us.
I understand how important it is to have a place called home, and it's frustrating using your hard-earned money on rent. Vic Prasad can make you a homeowner. Get pre-approved services provided to first-time buyers and new immigrants. You can qualify for mortgage even if you have bad credit. Call Vic Prasad now on 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is associated with Craft Mortgages Canada Incorporated. I understand how important it is to have a place called home, and it's frustrating using your hard-earned money on rent. Vic Prasad can make you a homeowner. Get pre-approved services provided to first-time buyers and new immigrants. You can qualify for mortgage even if you have bad credit. Call Vic Prasad now on 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is associated with Craft Mortgages.
For any kind of visa-related services, contact Milky Way Immigration, a galaxy of opportunities located at Unit 209-9547 152 Street, Surrey, BC. They have licensed immigration consultants, placement officers, and LMIA experts to meet your immigration and recruitment needs. Book one-time free consultation either on Facebook or by calling 604-396-0005. Bollywood Banquet Hall and Conference Center, located at Pile Business Center at 201-8166 128th Street in Surrey.